The new Bengle from Decent Espresso is every barista's endgame machine. And I don't care if you're a beginner or if you're a pro, it makes perfect coffee and you're absolutely gonna love it. And it's coming out in a couple of months, so sit back and relax. I'm gonna take you on a journey of all the things that I love about it, things that I dislike, and one thing that I absolutely despise. So stick around, I'll let you know what it is. Let's check it out. G'day mate, my name's Ryan, your coffee coach. And today I want to take a look at the Bengle espresso machine. It was unveiled a couple of months ago in Hong Kong, and I was one of the lucky 80 or so people to get my hands on it, to make a whole bunch of coffees on it in a short amount of time. And I want to share with you all the features, the ones that you can see, some that you can't. I got to interview the engineers, the designers behind the machine, and got to talk to John himself about the vision of this machine. And for those US citizens who are feeling the burns of the tariffs right now on China, I've got a little bit of good news for you, because as it stands, technology in the US is only tariffed at 10%. And because the DE1, which is the other model, and the Bengle, well, they're both the most technically advanced coffee machines on the planet, and so they're considered technology, the dutiable amount is only about $500. So that means you're only going to pay $50 extra as it currently stands. So stop sitting on the fence, buy a DE1 right now. It's just an absolutely bomb of a coffee machine. But also there's a link below that takes you to the Decent website, which is updated regularly, and we'll have all the information there about the tariffs and what it means to you and what you can expect. And no, I'm not paid to do this video. I get nothing whether you buy a Decent espresso machine or not. I just love technology and I love coffee, and I love seeing value in companies, especially like Decent, which offer so much value. There's a reason I call John the bang for buck Buckman. It's because he delivers so much value in these coffee machines. So stop fluffing around, mate, get it done, son, and go and buy one of these machines. Now, let's talk about the Bengle and how it differs from the DE1. Firstly, it's not hard to notice that it looks completely different to the DE1, which is the other model of Decent espresso machines. And it's their 10-year sort of, we have made it, we are now launching into something that's a bit more elite, a bit more luxurious. It's really an overhaul with the curved timber panels, the LED lights, nice big tablets. It just makes it look that next level. And I actually don't have a problem with the DE1. I've got one at home. I absolutely loved it. I always have loved it. But I know that people out there have said they didn't like the look of that. I guess I'm just bored with the traditional chrome plated color type style of espresso machine. So something like the DE1 really appealed to me. But even if you thought the DE1 was ugly, there's no way you can say that about the new Decent espresso machine, the Bengle. I sat down with Ben Champion, who is a champion, by the way. He's a fellow Aussie, he lives just across the river over there. And he was the main designer behind this. He's an engineer that's worked for the company for 7 years, and he got to design the new Bengle. And this is what he had to say about it.
So the design came about, John asked us to reskin the DE1. So part of that was coming up with a new look, because that's what people complained a little bit about. So yeah, we started playing with different concepts, 5 or 6 different designs. I quite like the wraparound of the back cover sort of idea. It kind of reminded me of, there's an old Mac computer that had that sort of look to it. We got to this sort of point, and then when I showed to John, he was quite happy with the look and wanted me to continue. And then that's when we came up with the name Bengle, because Ben's starting to play around with angles. And yeah, and then funny enough, my wife always complained that things are too angular with design, so we started making more curves and try to make it a bit more of like a feminine sort of design-ish, not so masculine. And yeah, that's kind of how the look sort of evolved. Yeah, I think the last model we changed it, we made it 10 millimeters wider, and all of a sudden it all felt like squat and wide and felt so much better. Just the main one is the wooden cover. It was always just going to be wood, but then we've been having, it's quite hard to make wood perfect. A slight dent and all of a sudden it's not as good as what it needs to be for us to sell it. So, you know, a scratch, a dent, and so our defect rate at the moment is about 80% of failing. So we needed to come up with a design that won't fail so much. So that's where the metal came across. It's quite a different manufacturing technique. I've never seen this done on a production style machine. It's a special machining technique. It's difficult. We're still getting the last little manufacturing finished, but yeah, the metal case will be the second option we have. So color-wise, initially we're just going to keep with this. We do have problems when you start having like inventory tracking, and if someone breaks their machine, you need to send them a new one, and if it's a different color, it gets a bit complicated. So we do need to keep it somewhat simple. But yeah, for sure, in the not too distant future, there'll be lots of different colors. I really want to do a black. I know a lot of people are asking for an all black machine, and it'll come. It's just about that inventory that we need to keep an eye on.
I mean, there's so many areas on this that just make it look that little bit luxe. And you can't really see it clearly on film, but in person, you'll notice that the finish is this lovely white matte. It's not that shiny, sort of polished finish that the DE1 has. It's just got that extra layer of luxury. I really appreciate what they've done. They've gone into the detail in this machine. The LED lights are lovely. People might say that they're gimmicky. I actually don't think they look gimmicky at all. Yeah, in some of the videos here, you can see that they are actually disco lights, but that's just an effect you can put on because it's completely customizable, just like pretty much everything on this machine. You can have it blue, you can have it white, and I really love that you can see your extraction now. When I'm filming, it's so nice to film on because I don't have to hold a light underneath it now. It just has that light so you can watch your extraction in multicolors or whatever you like, but it's certainly not gimmicky and it is quite functional. The tablet also is much bigger. It actually fits the entire width of the machine now. And the machine is still quite narrow and compact and is perfect for apartments. So I love that they haven't gone to this huge one. I mean, you look at some of the other machines out there and they sit like 500 by 500 cubes. They're massive. This is neat and tidy. Like the Samsung A9 Plus tablet is only 11 inches diagonal. So it's actually quite nice, but it's much bigger, and I love the experience of playing on it. It was really responsive, super powerful, and now I can say I have an 11-inch coffee machine tablet, which is fantastic to be able to brag about that. In some of the other videos I've done on these machines, people have complained about the fact that it's not an iPad tablet, or that you don't have the option for an iPad tablet because there was no iOS app. There was only an Android version of the app. And people were like, why would I want to buy a whole other tablet just so that I can use that app when I'm an Apple head? But that's not the point. The point is you actually don't use it like a normal tablet. You just use it to control the coffee machine. And now you can just get an iPad tablet and use that in place because this is how strong the community is. Someone has actually written an iOS app. So now all you Apple heads can go about your day and use your own tablet if you like. But the reason John hasn't created his own iOS app, there was one fundamental thing that he wanted to do here, and it wasn't to pump profits out, it was actually to make it all open source. And this is what he said when I interviewed him.
I said at DCon, which is our Decent Espresso first conference, that there are all these companies copying what we have done with Decent Espresso, and they'll copy the way it looks, some things about how it works, maybe some of the app features, but like they don't understand that the key is openness. Like I'm shouting it from the rooftops. The key to our success is that we're open. It's open source, open community, and involving talented people all over the world.
And really, this is where the coffee machine excels above all other machines because the app and the software is so powerful. It can track and customize and map all of those different variables that you need to make that perfect espresso. And then when you have that, you can replicate that time and time and time again without anything but a press of a button. And if you don't have any experience with Decent, then you won't know that the D1 maps your water temperature, your pressure, your flow rate, your weight, your time. Every part of the extraction is mappable and customizable. You can have it do all sorts of things. You can have the temperature fluctuate from 95s down to 90, down to 87, back up to 90, all in the time frame of an extraction. You can have the flow rate go from 2.5 mils and then to 0 and then up to 4. And you can have that fixed so that you can have the pressure go up and down based on what that flow rate is so that you will always achieve that. Let's say you want to fix in the pressure and you want to have that as max. Let's say you want it to stop at 35 grams of coffee. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but you want it to stop at that exact amount. It's so smart. It doesn't have any AI in it, but it's actually so smart that it can have an adaptive espresso profile so that no matter if you even stuff up the tamping or the puck preparation, it will adapt so that you get that perfect espresso no matter what sort of coffee you're using or how well you make coffee as well. And then once you've got that coffee, It graphs it all, so you can see it, you can see where you went wrong, you can use that as information to make your next coffee even better. Or if you hit that God shot, you can save that profile and it saves every single coffee. And then you can send it to the other side of the world. You could download it at a friend's house. You can get them to use it. They can tweak it. They can send it back to you. The community is a big part of this espresso machine. The way that it interacts with every other machine out there is so perfect. Like, it doesn't matter if you end up with the Bengle or the DE1, you're going to be able to use all of those software features on those machines, so you're never going to get left behind. And what makes this machine so powerful is that it can emulate every other possible machine out there in the world. If you want to have a basic, traditional, straight 9-bar espresso, you can do that. If you want to mimic the Synesso and have a stepped profile pressure come up and down, you can do that. Let's say you want to have Scott Rayer's Allonge, which is kind of like taking a filter coffee and turning it into espresso. It's the only machine that I know of that's out there that can properly do a 0 mils per second flow rate. It means that it will go up and maybe run at, like, say 2.5 mils and then stop, have 0 mils for say 20 seconds and then come up and go to 4.5 mils. Whatever you want, you can do it. There's no other machine out there that I know of that can do that. And it can do filter coffee. It can make your Eggs Benedict Hollandaise sauce. Well, it can't make it, but it can steam it. And it can do a bunch of other things there, anything that you really want to do. Now, there are people out there who have said, well, it can't do levers. Well, technically it can't. It can do the ramp up and the ramp down of a lever. So the only thing that separates it from being a true lever is that there's one mechanic on the lever, which when you pull down the lever first, it opens up the valve that lets about 30 mils per second of water into the basket to sort of pre-infuse that puck. The decent DE1 nor the Bengle can get to 30 mils per second. However, it can get close. It's 12 mils per second, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or if this is even going to be featured in the future, but they were talking while we were there about seeing 20 mils per second and potentially higher. It can replicate 99.999% every other coffee machine out there in the market. Because it's the only machine out there actually measures it at the puck, you get that accuracy which no other machine has. Most of them measure it at the boiler or measure it somewhere along the way, but this has multiple PIDs right at the really critical part where you want to measure, so that you can make on-the-fly adjustments, microsecond adjustments to get exactly what you want. In fact, it has so many feedback loops. It has feedback loops on top of feedback loops. And if you understand anything about PID controllers, you'll know that how difficult it is to have multiple PIDs measuring each other, because just one slight thing could go wrong and that'll just fly off and then you'll explode it. Well, I spoke to Ray, the engineer behind this machine, about how many PIDs he has in the Bengle. And this is what he said.
About the PIDs in the machine, it's not something I really thought about, but apparently some people make a big fuss about the PIDs. And I'm like, well, people ask me, well, do you have any PIDs? And I'm, well, I do have some PIDs in the machine. And well, how many? It's like, well, it really depends which version of the firmware I'm messing around with, but probably somewhere between 10 and 20. I have PIDs that are controlling the current in the pumps. I have PIDs that are monitoring the ratio of temperatures in various places and that are trying to maintain the requested ratio. I have a physics model that is actually simulating the water path, but the physics model has parameters in it that we don't know what they are. I have PIDs that are actually looking at reality versus the physics model and adjusting those parameters. I have other PIDs which are controlling the simulation of various parts of the system that I then use as virtual sensors. I have many PIDs. I didn't really think about them as being super special, but yeah, if we didn't have those PIDs, the machine would take probably in the range of 5 times longer to respond to any deviation or to change something. If we don't have them, it's the difference between barely acceptable performance or just a flat 9-bar shot and being able to do temperature profiling and all of the other stuff.
Are you kidding me? That is actually insano. I mean, who does that? Only the best. The Steam Wand also got a huge upgrade. It's now doubly as powerful as the DE1 and even 50% more powerful than the DE1 XXL, which is their biggest model. So it's delivering about 3,000 watts of power and it can push the power up to 6 bars of pressure on your steam wand. So if you're used to a commercial coffee machine, you're going to absolutely love it. Other people who are coming from, say, like a Breville or a tiny little weak steam wand, they're going to have to adjust to it, but it just delivers perfectly silky, dry milk, and at whatever temperature you kind of want, whatever power you want, it could basically do a full cup of milk in about 18 seconds. So it's super fast, and I loved using it. I think that was major thing for me, was how powerful the steam was, because I want to do quick milk. I don't want to be sitting there and having to go away and do the dishes, whatever, but that is one of the things that I really loved, and I still get beautiful milk. In fact, check out one of my designs. That's what I do. Steam one also has 3 holes in it now, so rather than just a single one, so it's much easier to control. You can get that vortex whipping around much easier. You just notice the power behind it. The other thing that's really great is that they've got the PPS tip on it, so that means that it's not going to heat up like metal and then bake on the milk, so you aren't going to have to worry about cleaning the steam tip as thoroughly as you would do with the older models. And I believe the PPS tip is going to be available on the DE1 as well, so again, you're never left out. And like everything on this machine, it's customizable as well, so you can actually get an optional temperature probe that can attach into the coffee machine, and then you can just sort of sit it down, set the desired temperature. Let's say you want to do a 65-degree coffee, then you can pop that down, set it, and it will auto steam and then shut off when it's finished, which is really handy. I don't need that because it's so quick anyway, but it's there if you don't know. This is why it's such a good coffee machine for beginners. And yes, it is in Cool Touch. There is no Cool Touch steam wand on this machine, which a lot of you guys are saying that's like a deal breaker. Well, it isn't. I mean, I use my machine all the time, and I use this machine. I made tons of coffee on the machine. I actually never even realized it was not Cool Touch. Yes, when you've got a machine like this that you're using day in, day out, when it's all metal, you want it to be Cool Touch. You want to be able to move it around. You don't want to reach over and burn yourself. It has a nice little rubber sleeve on it. I've never noticed anything. And the people that are complaining about Cool Touch steam wands, are you the same guys that love your E61 group heads machine? Because the group head on an E61 machine is boiling. So yeah, who cares about the steam ones and the hot water? Yeah, I don't care if they're burn safe. What about the massive thing in front of you that you can lean on all the time and burn yourself? If you're going to pick apart this coffee machine and say, oh, well, it doesn't have the no burn steam ones, okay, you got to get something else going in your life because you've got too much time on your hands. One of the biggest pet peeves I had with the DE1 was the water tank. With the way that my kitchen is set up, my coffee machine sits on an island, so the back of the coffee machine is visible, and there is a panel that comes over there and it's magnetic and it's fairly easy to get off, but every time you want to change the water or fill the water up, you'd have to take that off, then lift the lever up, pull the tray out, fill it up, push the tray back in, drop the lever down. And so I ended up getting to the point where I just left the panel off the back, and that looks pretty ugly. I didn't like that. Now, the Bengle, they've massively reinvented that. They now have a front lever, so you just pull it up from the front to pull it forward, but you don't even need to use that unless you're taking it completely out. You can just pull it forward and about, halfway, and then fill it up and push it back in. And if you really need to take it out, like you'd only need to take it out if you were going to wash it or clean it or whatever, and then you can pull the lever off and just pull it straight out. And it can get plumbed in anyway, so you can eliminate that problem altogether. And the other thing I really love about it is that it now comes with a silicone lid. So there is an optional silicone lid that was invented a bit later to cover the water reservoir, but that just stops all of these little nasty bugs, especially in Australia. We have heaps of these bugs flying around, and they can sit in your water, so you have to check the water every morning to make sure no little nasties got in there, dust, things like that. The silicone lid is auto-closing, so as you press it in, it closes and seals it, so it's completely tight. But you don't even need to lift the lever up anymore, so you can just leave it there, fill it up when you need to, and close it as you go all the time. I am going to miss my early morning reach arounds, and that's a sad thing. Now the pump as well was a big bugbear for a lot of people, because anyone who hasn't owned a DE1 before, and I do admit that when I first turned it on, it made all of these noises, sounded like it was going to explode. I did seriously worry what I'd bought, but after a while, you get completely used to that sound, and in fact, it actually becomes like Pavlov's dog. Like you hear that sound and you go, there's a good coffee coming. If you're not familiar with it, can seem a little bit off-putting. But it's just a regular sound, like most vibratory pump sounds. It's not louder. It's just that it's just unusual sounding. And that's because this machine has no boiler. Neither the DE1 nor the Bengle have a boiler in it. It's a thermoblock machine, just like you'd get in the Breville's or the DeLonghi, except not cheap and nasty. These are actually like high quality thermoblocks, but it draws up the water. And as it draws, because it's doing so many little precise little calculations and adjustments all the time, it has to go back to like put in a little bit of extra hot water, to put in a bit of cold water, to do what you need it to do. So they revamped that entirely. And now the pump is so quiet. And actually I was there when they were measuring the noise that it makes at certain parts, so when it starts to when it finishes. And as the pump pressure gets higher, the sound of it gets much quieter, to the point where it's actually 30 decibels, which is below what you can hear with the human ear anyway. And at the height, it's like 60 decibels, which is like a normal conversation. So it's not loud, and it just makes nicer, longer strokes. Now you can have a listen here. This is the actual recording of them measuring it, and you can hear for yourself how quiet it gets. So for those people who didn't like the sound of the pump before, I think you're going to love this. And as Ray said, he actually can make any sound now. He's got a speaker in there. He can make a sound whatever you like. So down the track, you could have any sort of sound that you wanted to, tied potentially to the pressure of the coffee machine. So as the pressure goes up, it could be like revving an engine, or it could be like whatever you want it to be. But there's options there for the people who own the DE1 to go back and listen to the original sounds to make you feel more at home. And I think for me, the piece de resistance is the integrated scale drip tray. There are not many machines out there that have this, and it's really difficult to achieve. And I wish that every machine had it, but you don't have to worry about the scales sitting on top of your drip tray anymore, the Bluetooth disconnecting, I've got a black one, so it looks really ugly with my white machine. And also when you have to flush your coffee machine, you have to move the scale out the way. It just makes it super seamless now. It's nice and streamlined. The whole machine has more head height as well, but now you don't have to have that extra layer with the coffee scale there. You can go straight into the drip tray itself. It's really a marvel how they've actually managed to achieve that. And I applaud them for doing that, because it's like just that much sexier. So yeah, like you can buy yourself a Slayer, you can buy yourself a Synesso MVP Hydra, you can buy yourself an ES1 or whatever. They don't have the integrated drip tray. So you're going to have this ugly black scale or whatever color on the top. But with the Bengle, you don't need that. So for $6,000 US, this machine delivers what no other coffee machine out there delivers. And I think I just heard you scream and fall out of your chair because you went, $6,000 US, that's a ripoff. Now, I've noticed a few comments saying that Decent need to reevaluate their pricing, because $6,000 for the Bengle is far too much. But I want you to reframe this, because this is actually hugely competitive if you think about it and compare it to the other brand names that are out there. You aren't getting your regular Profitec 600, this sort of middle of the range espresso machine with a couple of features like a PID and maybe a timer or an eco mode. We're talking about a coffee machine that is jam-packed with every feature under the sun. You look at some of the machines like Slayer Steam Single, or the La Marzocco Strada X1, ES1 from Synesso even, Case Van der Westen, those machines, which are like way more expensive. The ES1 from Synesso, which is essentially a copy of the Decent espresso machine, they're charging you $10,000 US. So don't talk to me and say, oh, that Decent are overpriced, because they have stuffed so many features into this, and their model means that you get the best bang for buck. So you, as the consumer, you buy directly from the manufacturer. They hand build these machines, similar to how Slayer hand build their machines too, so La Marzocco do too well. But you aren't getting any extra costs in there just because they're associated with that brand name. La Marzocco, they've been around forever. They have the best reputation in the world for making the best espresso machines in Milan, handmade, all of that. However, a lot of that fat in their pricing is to do with the brand and the reputation of that company. Whereas Decent don't have that luxury. This is their 10-year anniversary, and they've decided to release a machine that really sits right up there in the elite of the espresso machines. And not only that, this is got so much power in the software that'll just continue to grow and grow and grow. The community mod things, they add it together. This is all open source, so everyone has access to it. It means that over the next 10 years that John will be inventing things and coming up with new ideas, there are going to be so many more features, software added on, accessories, everything that you can even think about. And everything I've seen coming out of the Decent factory looks amazing. Like the half decent scale, that looks incredible. And I'll be doing a video on that in the future. And I was there when they were talking about how much everything costs. And the fact that a piece of metal could push the price up to $80 doesn't mean he goes and charges you $240 for that piece of metal. He goes, okay, how can I make that metal cheaper so that I can add it value to my customers? What other company out there is not beholden to trying to make millions of dollars and profits and shareholders? They are trying to look out for you, the consumer, to give you the best bang for buck. That's why I call him John Bang for Buck Buckman. It's because he's actually looking out for the consumers. He's not interested in making millions of dollars of profit. He's got his money. He's made it elsewhere. He wants this to make you the best barista you can be. And if you don't believe he's looking out for you as the consumer, tell me what other company out there offers a warranty that can be extended forever. So every 2 years, you can just buy a new warranty and a new warranty, and they cover all the shipping and the fees, the taxes, the imports, duties, all of that from USA as well. You can just keep purchasing that forever and ever and ever. Not in any appliance industry does this exist, let alone the coffee machine world. What company wants to have that risk placed on them that they will continue to fix your machine under warranty for as long as you have it? There's not one. That's just the reality of it. This is a company that is dedicated to making your experience the very best it can be. I've seen it firsthand. You can say that I've drunk the Kool-Aid. Well, maybe I have, but I actually really do believe that what this company is trying to achieve is not like what the rest of the companies are trying to achieve. So there's just no argument that this machine isn't worth every cent that you spend on it. And if you don't believe me, just ask the thousands of other DE1 customers out there who are waiting eagerly for the Bengle to become available so that they can trade in their machine at a really good price and upgrade to the Bengle. And not only that, if you're one of the early adopters, you're going to be able to receive both machines simultaneously, play on them side by side, and let's say you don't want the Bengle anymore, you can send it back. But if you say, yep, I want the Bengle, you can send your old DE1 back and you get that. There's no other company doing that. But what is the thing that I despised about the Bengle? Well, I'll tell you, because it happened to me. I was at the Decent event in Hong Kong a couple of months ago, making coffees on this machine, playing around with it, and I ran a coffee. And just as I had pressed the extraction, I realized that the shot glass wasn't quite underneath the portafilter. So I quickly adjusted it just to make sure that it sits perfectly underneath. Now, you can't do this if you've set the parameters to be weight-based, because as soon as you touch that shot glass, it thinks, oh, it's reached its maximum weight, cuts it off, and that's it, the shot's done. But I had one drop. So I quickly just pressed the extraction button again, thinking, well, you know, it won't matter. It just started the pre-infusion stage. It hadn't really done anything well. I knew it was going to be bad. Obviously, you know that it's going to be bad, but it doesn't matter because I just needed to drink it. I was making it for myself. I'd made everyone else their coffees and I wanted to drink one for myself. However, the Decent espresso machine has a massive 11-inch screen that shows everyone who's standing around you just what is going on in that machine. And the picky chemist, Stefan, who's standing right beside me, and he looked over as the extraction started coming. It looked all right. I was going to drink it. I wasn't going to complain. I just wanted to quietly make it. He looks over and he says, "What has happened? What is this?" He's from Belgium, so he has this beautiful, thick, lovely French accent. "Oh, no. What has happened? What is wrong? Something is wrong." And I probably butchered the accent. Sorry, Stefan, I love you, buddy. And he embarrassed me in front of all the other coffee experts by pointing out my graph. You can't hide it. Also, the fact that it was plugged into the screen and I'm showing everyone was probably another downfall anyway. But I thought I was going to get away with that without anyone looking, and he saw it and he picked up on it straight away just by looking at the graph, not by my shot, not by how it tasted, but just by looking at the graph, he went and told the whole world. So I got him back later by telling him his coffee tasted like vinegar, but I was joking. So yeah, if your ego's bigger than James Hoffmann's YouTube channel, then you probably might want to rethink getting this machine, because people who know what they're doing and can read the graphs will be able to tell you that your coffee is crap before they've even tried it. But really, for those of you who don't get sarcasm, there is nothing I really despise about this machine, just the Belgium roasters. I love you, Stefan. So whether you're a coffee beginner, whether you're a pro, whether you want to travel the world, like my mate Adam Allgood, fantastic guy, takes his coffee machine everywhere with him, because it does actually come in a suitcase, which is about as robust as you can. And if you want to watch a video of them throwing it down the stairs with the coffee machine inside, it's fantastic to watch. But honestly, this is a fantastic machine. It's bang for buck. I don't say that lightly. There's probably not another machine out there that I would say has absolutely everything packed into it and is still relatively affordable, other than the Bengle. So when it comes out in August, I'll do side-by-side comparisons with both machines, but whether you buy the DE1 or the Bengle, you're not going to be left behind, because it's all about that software, and that software is continuously updated. It will go across both machines. It's only some specific hardware stuff that really separates the two. It's more about the hardware, and depending on what size machine you want, whether you get the Bengle or the DE1, they're both fantastic machines. And as I said before, if you're in the US, don't hesitate. Get it now. It's fantastic. It's only $50 more. You're so lucky that you're able to get this machine because of its tech into America. And John is a US citizen, so there are other ways that he can help you, but you are going to be looked after. Again, as I said, this is not a paid advertisement. I'm not sponsored. I'm not paid to say these things. It's because I truly believe in it, and I've done my research. I've been there. You can say what you like. I don't care. I'm Ryan, your coffee coach, and as always, enjoy your brew.